how to embrace the suck, how to learn how to practice, how to learn how to build skills when you're not very good to begin with. This is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, please, I need to inhale your validation. So please, if you're on YouTube, like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. All other platforms, like, comment, share with your friends. Tell them, give me more validation, oxygen to inhale into my body. Okay, today we're going to talk about the fact that when you try something new, when you want to learn a new skill, when you want to start a new life path, when you want to start a business, switch careers, get better at anything, do all of the things that you know will make your life better through delayed gratification, you're going to suck. Not only are you going to suck, you're going to suck so bad that 99.9% of you will quit right away, right? So when I go into the process of talking about self-improvement and doing all of these things, taking these other avenues, I know by default, the vast majority of people who listen to me, watch me, read me, are not going to complete it. They're not going to do what I say. They're not going to follow through, and they are going to live whatever life they're living. I'm not making moral judgments on it, but whatever life they're currently living, there's a pretty damn good chance that it's going to stay that way. Unfortunately, this is the way of the world. Why? We don't like sucking at stuff. And this is not all to blame on you. So part of it is kind of your ego lizard brain thing going on, but also there's a society that you live in that punishes you for making mistakes. So ever since you were a little kid, everything you were taught was through the lens of you being wrong, through the lens of you being less than 100%, less than fully adequate, right? So what does a teacher do when you get the question wrong? They mark a big, fat, nasty X on your incorrect answer because you're a loser who doesn't know the answer because you suck and because you're lame and because you're not as good and smart as your peers. So we go through that system being, we should just be outside playing and learning and playing with leaves and looking at butterflies and shit. But no, we're sat and forced to sit down in a room for hours on end being compared to our peers and being scolded every time we get something wrong. And we're always looking for the right answer. We only think in terms of right or wrong. So you go through an education system that basically beats the creativity out of you. And then once you graduate, you just want to exhale and never learn again because that system has ruined learning for you. Unfortunately, most people go through the system, they settle, they coast, but they realize they still want to do something more because they weren't fulfilled after going through that system, after getting the results, getting the job, getting the life. They realize that there's still more, way more, and they want to muster up the courage to do it, but they're afraid to suck. Everything I've been talking about on this channel is mostly what? It's mostly based on you, your ego, and your emotions. That's it. You're trying to protect your ego and your identity, and you don't want to practice something that doesn't feel good right away because it sends a little signal to your brain. You suck. It goes into your activation system and pulls back that little memory of the teacher marking a big fat red X on your paper, right? And so most people, they fold. Maybe justifiably so. But how are you going to be different? How are you going to be the 5%, 2%, 1%? It's a low number of people who follow through with their dreams or learn a new skill or anything like that. You have to learn to embrace the suck. You just have to accept the fact that you're not going to be very good right away at all. I look through a lot of, I don't really participate, but I look at different writing groups online just to see kind of the way people think. And so many of them have an attitude of entitlement that they've only been doing something for 6 weeks, 6 months, whatever, and they're expecting to be way better than they are. It's no, you need to embrace being bad at something. And the amazing thing is, if you embrace not being very good at something, it's kind of a bedrock foundation that you can take with you for the rest of your life and tackle new challenges. Because what happens initially, when you first begin practicing something, Every single situation, second of it is frustrating. It's very, 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 very frustrating, right? But only when you go back, or only when you reach the end and you can look back, you realize that that frustration was actual growth, right? So just like a muscle literally tears itself apart while you're working out, then rests and recovers, if you can get enough whatever gumption you need to practice and go through that frustration, you're building yourself. You're building creative muscles. You're growing, right? There's an often cited thing that don't do anything unless you're willing to do it 100 times. Don't write unless you're willing to write 100 blog posts. Don't do a podcast unless you're willing to do 100 podcasts. Don't start a YouTube channel unless you're willing to do a YouTube channel. And trust me, I'm going to do way more than 100 videos. So you can bank that because I know what's on the other side of practice, right? So doing something roughly 100 or so times, that's how many times you need to do something just to get a feel for it, let alone be good at it, right? And through that, you'll learn different things. And then those habits that you build will start to get wired into you. You won't be great, but you won't be nearly as bad as you were. And then you'll learn that you have skills that you can now lay the foundation, right? So when you first start, you suck at most things, but eventually you lay a foundation. Then you no longer have to think about those skills. Then there's a higher level of nuance. You build that foundation. You no longer have to think about those skills. And then if you make it to a certain point, you realize that your skills become second nature. It's a very good feeling. Like a lot of the technical things that I used to do online, like setting up my blogs, setting up email campaigns, using all these different tools, putting together headlines, putting together contractions for words, all these different little skills that I had to do to learn how to become a writer and promote my stuff online. Now, I don't think, right? They're subconscious. They're things that I do on a level below my awareness that used to be extremely frustrating, right? So there was things that I used to bang my head against the wall trying to learn that I now no longer think about. There were things that were so difficult to learn that made me want to quit, now cannot even reach the level of my consciousness anymore because I've practiced them so much. That's where you can get. And you're not going to get there until you start to do the work. And you're going to suck. And you're going to feel like a failure. But again, you have to look at failure as a feedback mechanism, right? Failure teaches you what not to do. Every time you fail, every time you try this angle and it doesn't work, you're like, okay, this path is blocked off. Let me try this one. Okay, this one is blocked off. Let me try this one. And then eventually you figure out the game, right? But what does society want you to do, right? I've been getting more blunt about the messages of society. They want you to be weak. They want you to be weak, helpless, and reliant. They want you to feel like the power and agency over your life belongs to someone else. They paint this narrative that there are these impossible, impenetrable obstacles to living a better life. This is not true. I'm on a computer, a magical machine of unlimited possibility to any human being of reasonable intelligence. Even just a smartphone. You can start all these sort of things. I don't want to hear any excuses about wages. Don't do something that has a wage. Most people take wages because they don't want to suck to learn skills. Skills make money. The type of skills that help people live lives that are 10 times better than yours come through a period of sucking that you're unwilling to go through. And until you admit that, you're going to be where you are, right? So you can make as many excuses as you want. You can talk about how society is a rigged game as much as you want. You can go to the voting booth and hope your guy or gal saves your life for you. Or you can step outside of the lines and create your own path, which starts by not being very good. But you'll realize, trust me, if I were to go back 5 years and tell myself like the kind of skills I have now, I wouldn't believe me either, right? It's hard, but it can be done. All right, You 2.0 on Amazon. Go check it out. Like, comment, subscribe, validate me. I will see you tomorrow.